Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this video, we will create this button using HTML and CSS. So when we hover over this, we can see that we have these three icons and the links displayed over here. So we can click on any of these links and we'll be taken to the social media accounts that are linked over here. And when we go outside this button, it collapses. So we're going to create this design using HTML and CSS in this video. Let's get started. Right here I have created this folder called social icons and I just opened it with VS Code. And here I also have this folder called images, and in that we have these three images which we're going to use in our design. So let's start by creating the necessary files. So let's create a new file and let's call it index.html. And let's create another file and let's name it style.css. Right, let's start with the index.html file. Now in VS Code you can just press exclamation and press tab and you'll have this basic HTML5 code. So let's link our CSS file over here. And in the body, let's start with the markup of our design. So the first thing we will do is we'll create a container division. And let's give it a class of socials container. Now here we'll create a division for this heading. So let's create a division with the class of social heading. And let's tap connect with us. And let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So I have this extension called live server installed in VS Code. So once you have this installed, you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on open with live server. And now we can see our design is displayed in the browser. Alright, let's go back and let's add the other elements. So the next thing we need to have are these social media icons and this name. So I'll just create a division for that and let's give it a class of social icons. And for each of these, I'll just create anchor tags because they are basically links. So let's create anchor tag. Now here in the href, you need to add the links of these profile pages. But for now, I'll just type hash. Now here in this anchor tag, let's create a span. And in this, we will add the image. So I'll just type img. And in the src, let's type images / and the first one is Facebook. And let's go outside the span and let's create a paragraph tag. And here let's type Facebook. And here we can see we have the icon and the name. And I'll just copy this and let's paste it 2 more times. And for the second one, we need to change this to Twitter. And for the third one, let's change this to LinkedIn. And let's change the names. So here let's type Twitter. And here let's type LinkedIn. Right, that's basically it with the HTML. Now let's go to the CSS file and let's start styling this. Now here, first of all, let's go ahead and target this socials container division. So let's tap socials container and let's set the font family to Roboto sans serif. And let's go ahead and set a background color. And let's set it to EDF6F9. But now let's go ahead and change the height of these icons. So here let's tap social container img and let's set the height to 26 pixels. Right, now let's continue styling this socials container. So let's set the position to fixed and we'll just position it to the top to 80 pixels and right of, let's try 30 pixels. And let's set the color of the text to 023047. And let's add a padding and let's set it to 20 pixels. And let's also have rounded corners. So I'll just have border radius and let's set the value to 24 pixels. Right, now let's add a box shadow and let's set the values to 0, 4 pixels, 16 pixels, -7 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.3. Right, now let's go ahead and set a max height and let's set the max height to 12 pixels. Right, now we can see we have the max height set to this division, but all the other elements inside the division is also being displayed. So here we need to type overflow hidden. So now everything outside the division will be hidden. Right, now let's go ahead and style this heading. So for the heading, we have this division with the class of social heading. So let's type socials container social heading. And let's set the font size to 14 pixels. Let's set the font weight to bold, and we'll set the text transform to uppercase. And now when we hover over this, we need to change the background color and the color of the text. So for that, let's add a hover effect. So let's tap socials container, social heading, and here let's add a hover. So let's tap hover. And here let's set the background color to black and color of the text to white. And we'll also add a smooth transition. So I'll just tap transition. And let's set it to all 300 milliseconds ease. And now we can see that when we hover over this, we have the color changing, but it doesn't have the full width and height for this heading. So for that, we need to add some negative margin. So if you scroll up here, we can see that we have set a padding of 20 pixels. So here we need to type margin of negative 20 pixels. And then we need to add a padding for this element. So let's tap padding of 20 pixels. Right now, if you hover over this, we can see that we have the correct height and width for the element. Right now, let's style the social icons. So we have this division with the class of social icons. Now for this, let's go ahead and set a max height to a higher value. So let's tap 200 pixels. And let's start styling this. So here let's tap socials container, social icons. And we need to add a margin top. And let's set it to 20 pixels. Right now, let's style the anchor tags. So in the anchor tag, we have the span, which has the image, and then we have this paragraph. So we need to have these two elements one next to the other. So let's target the anchor tag. So let's tap socials container A, and let's set the display to flex, and let's type align items to the center, and let's add a gap of 12 pixels. Now we can see that the icons are not exactly in the center vertically, so we need to go over here to the image, and we need to tap display of flex. Now we can see it is exactly in the center. Right now, let's remove the underlines. So I'll just tap text decoration, none. And let's set the color of the text to 023047. And by default, we will set the opacity to 0. And we'll also add a transform scale. So we'll just make it grow. So let's start from 0.9. And when we hover over this element, we need to make it grow. So let's tap socials container, hover. And when we hover over it, we need to add styles to the anchor tag. And here let's tap transform scale 1 and opacity of 1. And here let's add a transition so that we have smooth animation. So I'll just tap transition. And let's set it to all 300 milliseconds. And for the easing, we will add a cubic bezier. So let's tap cubic bezier. And let's set the values to 0.01, 0.77, 0.26, and 2. So now when we hover over this, we can see that we have the animation. Right now, let's go back over here and let's change the max height back to, I think it was 12 pixels. And when we hover over it, we need to change the height. So let's tap socials container, hover. And let's set the max height to 200 pixels. Now let's hover over this, and let's also add a smooth transition. So I'll just tap transition. All 300 milliseconds ease in out. And now let's hover over this, and we have the hover effect. Now here we can see we have a lot of padding at the bottom. So when we hover over it, let's set the padding bottom to 0. Right now let's try it. And now we can see it looks alright. Right now the last thing we need to do is we need to add some delay for these second and third animation. So here we can see we have a little bit of delay for the second and the third anchor tags. So let's go back. And here let's tap socials container A, nth of type 2. So this will select the second element. And let's add a transition delay, and let's set it to 100 milliseconds. And let's copy this, and let's paste it over here. And here let's tap 3, and here instead of 100 milliseconds, let's tap 200 milliseconds. So now for the second one, we will have a transition delay of 100 milliseconds, and for the third one, we will have a transition delay of 200 milliseconds. Right now, let's go ahead and check it out. So let's hover over this, and we can see that the animation is working all right. And now you can go ahead and add the links of your social media accounts over here in place of these hash. So that's basically how you can create this connect with us button using HTML and CSS. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.